So welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on today's phone call. We'll be talking about advancing your digital engagement, essentially looking for ways and speaking to each other about best practices, all about getting people to pay attention to the messages that we send out. I'll introduce some of the people that we have on the phone. Sam and I worked hard as we put together the content for today's presentation. And we also wanted to make sure that we captured some of the essence of what our experts are going to present today. Sam, is there something you'd like to add to what I've said?
No, it's a great introduction. We're really excited to have you all. Please feel free to engage and type into the question box like Courtney mentioned. We're going to be recording this as well. So tomorrow expect in your inbox an email with a link to this workshop, which you can share with everyone on your team so they can also take part and enjoy the learning experience.
Okay, so as we think about how we're going to structure today, we have put together the workshop curriculum. We're going to talk to some of our experts about how they feel about marketing and what they are doing to enhance their communiques. We'll go into some specific best practices, the key elements of making your campaign stand out. And then I'll close towards the end by sharing with you some of the homework that I did. So for example, when you signed up for this webinar, I actually tried my best to pull up your newsletters. I looked at your IP addresses that were sending the email, and I did my own little research, and we'll talk to you about that towards the end as well. So with that, let's get started in terms of telling you who all we have on the phone. And I know we've got some interesting people to talk about. David, I'm glad you joined us because had the Hawks been in the playoffs, you probably wouldn't be with us today. You'd be working with them.
Yeah, well, unfortunately that didn't happen, so I am available. Thanks for having me, though.
No, this is awesome, David. We've known each other for a while. For those of you who do not know David, David runs analytics for the Atlanta Hawks. And I asked him to join us because over time, as I've worked with David and I have known him, I know initially when my children met David, they thought David was a basketball player from far because he's a really tall man who can almost touch the rim. And then as they had further conversations with him, they realized how much he knew not only about the players, but all his responsibilities as far as marketing is concerned. So David, why don't you tell us what you do for the Atlanta Hawks, please?
Sure, yeah, thank you. Right now I head up our analytics and CRM group. Formerly I headed up our digital group, and so I've definitely kind of seen the communication strategy, the marketing automation pieces, the personality, the copywriting, and all the things that go into making digital content. But the last 2 years, a little bit more of my focus has been on analytics. So with that comes much more nerdy things like ticket pricing and research and measurement of digital campaigns and return on investment on any type of campaign we run, whether it's a call campaign, an email campaign, a text message campaign, a website campaign, advertising measurement, media planning, anything that can be enhanced or more efficient through analysis or a data-driven decision kind of comes through our group here at the Hawks. So it's an awesome spot. We get to be very centralized in the organization, and we get to touch all the different departments in one capacity or another. And so yeah, it's a really fun place where creativity and revenue meet intelligence to help drive strategy and drive insights, really.
Okay, so David, it's interesting. A lot of people on the phone know that the Hawks play basketball, and you have the arena. What are some of the things you have to do to drive revenue for the facility or drive revenue for the Hawks?
Yeah, so our business is pretty simple at the root of it. we have kind of three big buckets of revenue, and you could probably guess those are tickets, and that's for Hawks games and for arena shows or family events or whatever. Sponsorship, so sponsorship mostly of arena assets or Hawks assets that we have during the season, and then media, so local media deals in order for a Fox network to broadcast all of our games, or a local radio station to own our broadcast of all, our radio broadcast of all of our games. So it really breaks down essentially to those three big buckets. And so if you look at them individually really quickly, in our tickets, which is our kind of our biggest focus always, because that's the most room for growth, my group is really charged with helping price all of those products and dynamically price those products. So one game could change prices, but day to day, you could see a different price for the same seat of the same game, depending on the demand, other market factors, the time until the game, the opponent, if there's injuries, if there's not injuries, what the secondary market is doing, such as places like StubHub or eBay or Craigslist with other ticket sales. So pricing of our tickets and monitoring that demand and that inventory is a huge piece of what we do on a ticketing standpoint day to day. So yeah, we're always looking at those opportunities to optimize revenue and maximize attendance, kind of where those two places intersect. On the sponsorship side, my group really helps with the reporting and kind of building those demographic profiles that kind of go out in pitches to companies. So if I'm talking to company XYZ, and I know company XYZ is a young brand, a young, bold brand that does a lot of social media, my group will help build those fan profiles to show we have, 40% of our fans are aged 18 to 34, and 70% of our web users are aged 18 to 34 and live locally. So we really try to build those profiles to help, I guess, educate those brands that are looking to do business with us, because we really want it to be a win-win situation where they get brand lift and we're able to either get, assets we need or financial compensation for the advertising that's bought by those brands. And then on the media side, that one's pretty obvious. The more people that watch and listen to our games, the better ratings that we get, the bigger those deals are going to be. So the more popular the team is, the bigger those deals are going to be. And so my group does a lot of the TV ratings analysis to see how we're comparing to other sports, how we're comparing to other channels, what time slots are working, what time slots aren't working, things like that, things of that nature. So those are kind of ways in which we, I guess, really help kind of make decisions and drive those three big buckets. And at the end of the day, we're kind of charged with reporting on all three, the back-end reporting, so what has happened and how does it compare to the year before and things like that.
So you bring up a few really interesting points, and I know that the audience today who are listening to you are credit unions, and these credit unions, they have members who essentially have a membership to just like your stadium. And at times what these folks do is they sell a product. The member might open one relationship with the credit union, and in a perfect world, they want to enhance it and do what you're doing in terms of season tickets. But the things you've really talked about here is that, yes, you have a game, you've got to sell out your tickets. You have to do good things as far as sponsorship is concerned, which is two ways. One, you do need sponsorship, and number two, you want to educate your sponsors in terms of saying, look at my audience, here are the people that you're reaching. And then the idea about media, I understand it's really easy when you pay someone to run an ad, but I guess on the other side of it too, you want to make sure that the media captures good events, things that you're doing in the community, et cetera, and I guess you're involved in that as well.
Yeah, we always want to tell the story and have, press releases and things like that to go out to media outlets, because a large part of what we do is tell our own story and really shout from the rooftops when we have something to say, whether it's we're changing our uniforms, or whether it's we've signed a new player, or we've done 3 court renovations across the city of Atlanta for underprivileged youth to have places to play basketball. So all of these things, we're in charge of. We're our own media company to some degree, whether it's through digital or traditional AP releases and things like that. One thing I kind of skipped over, but is really important for this call and the content of this call is, one area we're focused on is helping our digital marketing group, the group I used to work with, and really making sure we understand what's going on with our channels, right? So with our email marketing and with our social engagement. So we've invested in tools and in people to really take those to the next level, to where we can not only now see what's going on and capture and really be able to have historic trends of what we're seeing with frequency and open rates and email fatigue and A/B tests and things like that. But one thing we're just kicking off now is a social analytics platform. So all of that cool thing, all those cool things that are happening on social media, whether it's a funny tweet or a funny picture on Instagram or a scoring update on Facebook, really being able to see who is engaging with us, how many times are they engaging with us, what types of content is working the best. So yeah, that's kind of a new blossoming area for us, which is a shared area between my group and the analytics team and obviously the social media team.
Okay. So earlier when you were talking about it, you were talking about some of the numbers. You talked about year-over-year numbers. But tell the people on the phone, what are some of the day-to-day numbers that you typically look at, or what do you report to your management on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so one of the unique things about our area is we do get to touch all the different areas of our business, all the different departments. So some of the main, the key performance indicators or some of the main metrics that always are floated around have to do with ticket pricing, like how fast are tickets selling, what does tonight's game look like, what does the inventory look like, what location of the arena are those sales happening, if there's 100 seats that are sold in the last 5 minutes in one section of the arena, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean it's underpriced? Does that mean we have the perfect amount of inventory out there? Does that mean there was a promotion that had something specifically to that section? On the marketing side, we are always looking at our profiles, right? So let's say we had a game last night. What was the demographic makeup of the people that came to last night's game? Was it older because the tickets were more expensive because it was one of the best opponents in the NBA? Or was it younger because we had a tender night, a swipe right night, or some other promotion with a hip hop artist or a concert? Another piece we look at is the attendance. So we always want to see not only how many tickets we have out meaning distributed to people, like let's say we have 10,000 tickets distributed for a game, but if only 8,000 of those people are actually showing up, we want to know why we had a 20% breakage on those tickets. And so we look at scan times, we look at, and scan times I mean when your ticket is actually scanned when you walk in the building. So are people coming to the game late? Are people coming to the game early? Is there a conflict at the Georgia Dome, which is a huge venue right next to us, or is there traffic in downtown? And then, like I said before, like email stats, we're looking at daily. Social engagement, we are looking at daily. Those are kind of, across the board, those are kind of some of the main ones that we are always kind of studying, because it's all about process improvement for our end. And one thing I wanted to touch on, you mentioned members, these credit unions, and I'm happy to say I'm a customer of a credit union with one of my car loans, so I think they're even on the call. I won't name any names, but that's I've always had a good perception of credit unions, and we have a term that we use for all our season ticket holders called members, and whether credit unions use members or not, the term is kind of the same thing as you alluded to. So we place a ton of importance on making sure our members get treated the best. So exclusive only invites, or they're always going to have a better price than other people that walk up to the gate and want to buy a ticket, or want to walk up to the gear store, the merchandise store, and buy a jersey, or the same thing with food and beverage. They will always have a better price. They'll always have better preference. They'll always have a differential, a differentiated set of benefits because we value our members so highly, because that, in essence, which I assume is the same exact thing as credit unions, that's our lifeblood, is making sure we grow this constituency of members that come to every single game for us, and grow them, continue to grow them along the path and have them consume more and become more part of our, really become a family member of our organization.
Yeah, and David, you bring up two really good points. One of the things you said is from a branding perspective, you said a word that sometimes credit unions shudder to hear, which is you said, I'm a customer of a credit union. But the reality is that you're the client, you're the consumer, you're the member, you're the boss. And I still remember when I did work with Digital Credit Union in Marlborough, Massachusetts, there were a lot of members that we interviewed who basically said that I bank with DCU, or they're the best bank ever, or things like that. But I like the emphasis on members, and I really like the pointers you're giving us, which is you're saying that you want to make sure that you understand why 20% less people have come to the stadium, because you've got empty seats, and you want to make sure that you are indeed meeting the needs of those people. I'm assuming you do surveys. I like the fact you do scan times. And I'm going to go back to an old email campaign that you folks did a long time ago, which basically went out to the people that were coming to the Hawks game, reminding them that there was construction on 2 streets, the roads were closed down, and they needed to go down a different route. I think it's awesome that you use digital to communicate like that. A question I have for you real quickly now is, now that the season is over, are you off? Are you on vacation? What are you up to?
3-month vacation. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, this is a good time. Unfortunately, our season has ended. We had the best season we've had since our time here in Atlanta, so 40-plus years. But, yeah, so now that it's over, it's time for my group to we kind of try to encapsulate all the things that happened during the year in end-of-season reporting, whether that's financial or marketing or email or social or whatever. So we try to kind of wrap up with reports, and then it's really focused on strategic planning coming into the next season. Our business never ends. It just kind of changes in cycles, and it goes from a little more operational during the season to a little more strategic planning and resource planning in the off-season. And so there's a few big things on our plate for this off-season. We're upgrading our CRM system. We're talking to potential vendors for a new marketing automation system. We are working, we're vetting a couple of different vendors on a data warehouse where we will bring in all of our data sets, marketing, transactional, CRM, demographic, everything, food and beverage, merchandise, all into one place that allows us to have a lot more holistic view of people and segment and talk to people more intelligently. We've really ramped up what we're doing on the data visualization side with reporting tools, and so we're going to continue that push this off-season to drive more insights for people across the entire enterprise. And then we're getting sold. The team is getting sold, and it's our new owners will be announced most likely in the next month. And so with new owners, a lot of people's cheese will move, which means a lot of different reporting needs will probably change. Most people have bosses on this call, I'm assuming, and when those bosses are changed out, then there's obviously lots of new things that want to be investigated or new reports that want to be seen differently, and so that'll keep my group busy for definitely a significant portion of the off-season is adapting to those new ownership requirements and reporting needs. So we have a bunch of fun stuff, fun for me, not fun for most probably, data stuff and systems and overhauls and things like that to do this off-season. So that's what's going to keep us busy until October probably.
Okay. Well, I want to say good luck. I want to say thank you to you. I know you're going to stand by and listen and some of the other people speak. But as our next speaker comes up, can you share with us who you think is going to win this year's NBA?
Ooh, I've been baited into this one before. I will tell you, I will do what most politically correct people would do, and I will tell you, I win regardless of who wins in this series, because I'll tell you why. Because our team was beat by Cleveland, and they are playing Golden State right now, and I would like nothing more than to see Cleveland lose, just because of my own personal anger and grudge against them for beating us. So just to spite them. On the other hand, if Golden State wins the series, I think that's good for us, because Golden State plays a very similar style of basketball to the Hawks, and so I think that goes a long way showing that we have the right style of play. We just may need to tweak a couple of things. So I'm a glass is half full, and I can feel victory with either side winning.
All right. Well, David, thank you so much again. I know a lot of what you've said, including the strategic planning, is important to what a lot of financial institutions are thinking about. And as Courtney moves on to the next slide, I want to welcome in Shana Kelly. I've known Shana for a while now, and I think, Shana, because I know you really well, I might surprise people by asking you this question, but you're a young lady, and you work for a customs men's clothing company? How? What? Why? Tell us.
That is a great question. So I actually started, as you know, at a men's dress shirt company right out of college, and it really started there, my passion for menswear. And I find it so interesting from the creation of the garment to how we market to men specifically. So I've never really had the desire to get out of menswear. I really love the idea behind it, and I love what Black Lapel stands for, which is really making men feel confident in what they're wearing, and we believe that how they wear something or what they wear can actually affect their lifestyle and affect the way that they present themselves in situations. So it's much more than just the clothes that kind of draws me to it.
And as you think about it, so what does Black Lapel do?
We create custom men's suits. What stands us apart from kind of the rest of the custom suit industry, not only do we offer an amazing value for our suits, but we also offer some extremely rich content. So we really want to get into our customers' lives and give them content beyond the suit, talk about different things they may be going through in their life at the moment, give them tips on how to wear certain styles of clothing. And that really, allows us to connect with people beyond just that one purchase. And it's something that is obviously really important in our marketing efforts. So with that content, we also have a completely unheard of customer service model where it's extremely personal. It's extremely one-to-one. And just to give you a sample of, how we do that and why we do that, I mean, I'm actually in the marketing department, obviously, and I will be helping our concierge team answering emails from customers just to get experience of talking to our customers and get an idea of what they're looking for and what they're asking. So we definitely put customer service as number one around here, and we try to give them the best experience possible when going through Black Lapel for their suits and their custom dress shirt needs.
So, Shana, you said something interesting. You said that you put together a lot of rich content. Can you tell us what that content might make up in a campaign that you put out? What is the type of campaign you use, content you use?
Absolutely. So we have something called The Compass on our website, which is basically a style journal that is updated extremely frequently. We have a content manager here that is just an encyclopedia of a man, and he creates all of our content and gets it to our customers. So as the digital marketing manager, my role is to really take that content and get it to our consumers via the web and email channels. And how we do that is targeting our customers with the actual story itself to give them the idea of what clicking through will give them and some content behind that, but then also back that story up with some product and say, here's a story about dress shirts. Here's 5 dress shirts during the week that we think would be perfect for you. So we really try to not only give them the content, but also give them some background on that as to why we're giving them that content and why we think it's important.
And as you do this, I think, you bring up a good point. You mentioned a couple of things. One is that you develop stories, which just like our friends from credit unions, They have an opportunity to connect with their consumers, their members, about buying a home, buying a car, things along those lines. You're actually writing out lifestyle experiences that are interesting. You send those out, and then from a customer service perspective, you highlighted something very significant, I think, where when people reply back or ask you questions, you're actually listening to what they're saying so you can respond to them. So customer service gets involved in your emails as well?
Absolutely. That is a very key component to us. So the people that are responding to comments on the blog, they're actually the content manager and the social media manager, responding in a very personal, very thought out way. There are no templates or anything along those lines. It's extremely personal. And we do give them the option to contact us via email. So they'll reach out to us, and depending on the question they ask, it will be kind of delegated to the person that would be most appropriate to answer that question. But it's all human interaction, and our goal behind that is to really make the customer feel comfortable with us. Asking them to purchase a custom suit is a pretty big roadblock for a lot of marketing departments. It's a huge purchase, and most people would prefer to go in person for something like that. We believe having this content and having this accessibility to human interaction that is really one-to-one personalization gives us that extra edge to be able to reach the customer in a different way.
So yet again, you've said something significant, which is I need to purchase a home. It's a big deal purchase for me, but you who do not have physical stores other than, I think you have one signature location in New York, correct?
We do. We have a showroom.
You have a showroom in New York, but you basically are doing everything digitally, but you're reducing the anxiety by being that one-to-one digital connection with that consumer you serve. But you know, Shema, you said something else that's interesting. You talked about a suit that is a custom suit, which is obviously it costs a little more or it is expensive. So tell me, how often do you email or message your list and your consumers?
That's a really great question, and it is a little different for us than I would say to a normal menswear company. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Right now, we typically email about 2 times per week. We are in the middle of some timing testing and some optimization in our frequency, so I don't believe that will stay consistent as we move through with that. But our goal right now is to offer 2 emails per week to the customer. We offer one strictly content email because it's kind of the backbone of what Black Lapel is, and we don't want to stray from that by being too product focused. So we send them a content email, trying to give them some value and give them, the information on our blog that we're trying to get to them. The second email is a little more of a product push, and that is it's very delicate for us to go through with an all product email. So we do try to add some fun copywriting in there and some fun content to engage the customer beyond just the product. Like you said, a custom suit, there are some customers that will actually purchase quite frequently. To my surprise, we have people who order 20 suits in 1 year, which obviously is not the typical guy, but it does happen. So we do have that very, very loyal customer. But then we also have the guy who's only needing 1 suit per year. So our goal with that guy is to really engage him in our brand so that when he is ready for that next purchase, we're top of mind for him, and he's not going to stray from that because he has had contact with us. He is engaged with our content. He's still getting value from us. So what I would say to that, as far as the frequency strategy for anybody in e-commerce, would definitely be always focused on the value that you're giving to your customer, because with that unsubscribe, your ROI is going down and you're losing customers because you're not being relevant enough to hold their attention. So that is really the focus in our email, and as we grow the program, I think that's going to be always the top priority is engagement and making sure that frequency does not overtake that just because it's a potential revenue in that one cent that we could do. It's a big focus on life cycle and lifetime revenue.
So I like what you say, that you've got something that says that I'm going to limit my campaigns to as long as I provide value. Tell me, how do you measure the success of your email marketing program?
Great question. really, I think that this, again, is maybe potentially different than most, but one thing I love about Black Lapel is it is extremely focused on engagement. So how we measure success is how many customers are opening these emails, how many customers are engaging with them, clicking through to the website, reading the blog, what's the bounce rate on those pages, really focusing in on those details. Of course, revenue is everybody's main goal, obviously, in the long run, but that's more of a secondary focus for us in the email program because our main focus is getting the customer engaged with us, giving them value, and if that does result in revenue, which I would say 90% of the time a very engaged customer is one of our best customers in the long run, that's great. So we definitely focus on open rate, click-through rate, site analytics as far as how the landing page bounce rate is and how long they're engaging on the page and what sections they're engaging on the page.
So Shana, I know when I was teaching a class on email marketing, I asked you a few questions and I basically put you on the spot and I said that how do you measure the ROI of a campaign? And you threw some numbers out. Why don't you share those numbers with everybody on the phone call? Because I think people do want to know what is the ROI on every email message that they put out, or how could they improve it?
Absolutely. I think, there is no set, this is the number that you should be going off of, because in e-commerce especially, every industry is different. So what could be a industry standard open rate for online retailers would be extremely different for us because we are, again, pushing custom men's suits, whereas some maybe, like maybe an example like Groupon, who is a deal site, would have a very different open rate, very different engagement rate than somebody like us. So first and foremost, I think it's important to know that there is no right number for your business. It's something that you have to back yourself into with some calculation and with some observation. So my first point would be to know how much and what value an email opt-in is worth to you. Taking a look at lifetime revenue for email subscribers and really tracking an email subscriber from their sign up to their value at this point in time, that gives you an incredible baseline of looking at unsubscribes, looking at the cost of sending an email, and it allows you to show the true profit behind each campaign rather than a total or an average, which I think some people focus a little too much on as far as total yearly averages. I think it's more important to dig down into those campaigns to see what's working, where your customers are responding. So I would definitely say first and foremost, take a look at your email file, take a look at lifetime revenue from email subscribers, take a look at that timeline and see if there's a correlation of opt-in versus revenue. One thing that we really use to determine a successful campaign is dollar per email, which shows not only the revenue for each email sent, but it also shows the success of your segmentation, which I think is extremely important. You don't want to mail your entire file for every single email. That will result in a huge amount of unsubscribes. It won't be relevant to every customer. So you really want to focus on how you can segment your list to grow that dollar per email, and in return, all of your metrics will be substantially higher than you're used to seeing: your open rate, your click-to-open rate, conversion rate. So focusing on a few metrics will really allow you to grow your ROI and see the success of your mailing strategy. One other metric that I would say that I personally use to judge a successful email is response rate. So we're really taking a look at orders divided by emails delivered. It's just a good metric to take a look at to ensure that you are seeing a response rate on that email and you're not sending to too many customers that aren't engaging in that email.
So I like what you say about looking at numbers, and I'll kind of translate three metrics back to the credit union world. There is one side to it where we mail out an electronic statement or we mail out an electronic offer to a consumer in lieu of a paper mailing, and that is something that can be measured. There is also this whole concept of, well, do we make a credit card offer out to everybody, or do we make a targeted offer out to consumers? And I think something that has worked really well is that rather than sending every Buddy an email to go and purchase a car or to buy associated point-of-sale products that are with the car, you can find success by sending out 2 to 3 campaigns a day. And I say campaigns as in David bought a car, Amy bought a car, Sandeep bought a car, and I'm just sending out 3 emails to 3 people because the ROI you can get with segmentation and personalization is really high, and I think that's your message to us.
Absolutely, and I would say along with that, something as easy as segmenting your subject line can result in huge gains in ROI. So to give a specific example, I know David mentioned segmenting certain members and giving them exclusive discounts, exclusive offers. We do something very similar where we target VIP segments, and we will openly tell them, you are the VIP segment, here's what you're getting because you're in this VIP segment. On the flip side of that, we have a group of customers that are unengaged and they're not responding to email. So to them, we send a subject line that says, you know, Sandeep, we miss you, here's an exclusive offer for you, or here's an exclusive message for you. It's 2 different subject lines, same content, so it's very little effort to segment, but just giving that additional push, it increases open rate dramatically.
And, you know, Shana, again, thank you so much. I think what you have talked to us about is, I know the experiences you had at the shirt company where you were doing sometimes 4 to 5 campaigns a week to consumers, and now you're doing 2 a week. I like what you say about value, making sure that the email is valuable. You've certainly given this team a lot of good things to think about as far as what to do from an analytics perspective is concerned. And I guess as we get ready for Amy, who's going to come on, could you give people on this call a couple of tips on starting or restarting their email marketing program?
Absolutely. That's a great question. We just started our email program at Black Lapel, so hopefully I'm qualified to speak to this one. As far as starting, I would say the main thing to focus on are your core messages. How are you welcoming new subscribers into your program? How are you engaging customers throughout that? And then how are you re-engaging them when they potentially fall out or are unengaged with your messages? So taking a look at your file, if you're maybe restarting an email program and really digging into who is on your list and what is their activity level. And if you're just starting brand new, I would say develop your mailing strategy right from the start. You know, start your segmentation right from the beginning and take a look at customer life cycle and ensure that you are hitting the major points in that life cycle to really engage and grow your ROI.
Thank you so much again, Shana. I know you're going to stand by and listen in. And as Courtney takes us over to Amy McGraw, Amy is with Tropical Financial Credit Union. She's in South Florida. I know, Amy, you have many arms. You juggle so many different things. But I got to start it off by telling you or asking you this question. If you see a message on social media, what's going to make you want to open it and read that message?
It really is, the most oftentimes when I see something in social media, it's usually, let's say Facebook. It's on the news feed and it has content that's interesting. A lot of times it's either a video or a picture, and it's something that I'm interested in or it's been shared by a friend. I think the sharing by others is one that always piques my personal interest. The other way that you're going to find me engaging with brands is in terms of if something happened, if I'm angry, if I had really bad customer service experience. I know that that's one of the first places people go to vent is the social sphere.
I know as we were getting ready, you know, with your slide, Amy, I've got to ask you, tell us about Tropical Financial. Tell us about your market and what you do there, please.
Vice President of Marketing for Tropical Financial. We are about a $550 million in assets credit union. We are located in Southeast Florida. The market is Miami and the 3 counties around the area. There's about 5 million people who live here, and we have about 55,000 members, so about 1% of the market, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with over 300 unique bank brands, and about 12 to 15 different credit unions to compete with. We are in a highly competitive financial services market.
So I know you do a lot, and I have seen personally some of the marketing that you did even prior to coming to Tropical. Tell us about how do you put together good content, and what would you consider good content for an end user or a member?
Well, I think that both Shana and David said something that we all can relate to, and that I think we all do, is that when we're creating content, we have to remember that the end user is a person with goals, and they have stories, and they have wants and needs. And for us, it isn't and shouldn't be about selling a mortgage. It should be about helping our members attain the goal and dream of owning a home and the steps necessary to get there. So our content can help them get to those points by giving them the steps that they need to take, whether it be savings or knowing the process. Mortgage is a huge investment. It's the largest purchase anyone's going to make in their life. So if you can help them get there by providing content to help them along the way, whether it be the importance of getting pre-approved, helping them with hooking them up with realtors, hooking them up with a personalized mortgage loan officer that can help them every step of the way, every single step, and then being there at the closing, either with a video camera or a little iPhone camera to record their reaction and asking them if it's okay to share it, and then sharing it with the other members. That's where we're not, I hate using the word selling, but we're selling dreams here. It's not just about checking accounts and loans.
Amy, you said something really interesting. I drew a little circle out here, and your circle was that, okay, here's everything to educate Sandeep on attaining his dream about opening or owning a home. That was number one. From there, you moved into, here's somebody he can talk to as far as personalized questions are concerned. And then as you completed it, as you filled out the forms and as Sandeep got everything done, you even talked about soliciting Sandeep's feedback, which means, this whole concept of showing up with a video camera to capture that moment. You do a lot as far as video is concerned. Could you tell us about your experiences, the types of videos you have, et cetera, please?
Yeah, I've been doing video a long time, and one thing about my background is I spent 15 years as a live sports producer. So, yeah, David, I know your world. Actually, with the Pistons, to be so that's kind of funny. But anyway, so I do have an idea of how to put together video. I think that gives me a little bit more of an advantage over a normal, typical marketing person. But that doesn't mean I'm the only one who knows how to tell a story. A lot of times I think it actually can put me at a disadvantage, because sometimes I get so caught up in the production quality and the value that I forget about what the actual message is. And that's one of the things we have to keep in mind, is that the message is important. Content is king. So the videos that I do, some of them are we call money minutes. They're very simple, 1 to 2 minute videos. You got to keep them short too to keep them interesting. And they're about topics that our members are interested in. How do I know that they're interested in? Because we ask. What are the things you don't understand? What are the things that you wish you, like a check hold. Like when you're in the industry, you totally know why we do check holds. But a member doesn't understand that. They think in this day and age of, instant communication, they should be able to put a check in to the credit union for $10,000 and be able to access it within a few minutes. And they don't understand the whole process and fraud protection and things that go on behind the scenes. So that was a big question. So we created a Money Minute about it and shared it via email with our members. And then talking about email too, in terms of segmenting, again, that was something everybody talked about here, both David and Shana, and it's very, very important. Yeah, you don't want to oversaturate in terms of too many emails, and that's too many emails to everybody, but segmenting who the message should go to. For instance, let's take the mortgage process again. We created a 5-series video series on the mortgage process. We emailed it out to a segment of our membership based on age, income, and location. And then what we did, that was for the first video, the sort of overview. And then the videos 2 through 5, we only sent to the people who opened the first video. So we had about a 25% open rate on the first video, but then after that, the other videos had an open rate of 70 to 80%, because it was content they were interested in. The other thing is creating landing pages that allow you to capture more information. And then if a person actually fills out that form, to follow up with them immediately, even on the weekends. Again, with mortgage, we have a mortgage form that we will send out to our mortgage loan officers whenever the person sends it in, and we call it a hot lead. And we make sure that the MLO then reaches back out to that member right away, because that's when they're interested. That's the time that they have to put into this, and they cared enough to fill out that form to ask the question, and it's our job to get them to the next step and at least answer it. Even if it doesn't turn into a lead, I guarantee you, if you call somebody on a Saturday afternoon, right within 15 minutes of them filling out a form, even if it doesn't follow through, they're going to tell people about that. So that word of mouth, which us in credit union land, we're all familiar with, word of mouth is also king in terms of generating new membership, because we don't have the marketing dollars of some of our big competitors.
And so for everybody's benefit, Amy, I'm going to tell people what your office area looks like. So when you walk into her office, right outside, she's actually got a mini studio set up. She's got a camera, she's got a green screen, and she's always doing something or the other that is creative, it's clever, it's about engaging that people. There's a few other things that you've mentioned that I think are really important for people on this call. You know, a lot of times we feel that we need 1 million hits, or we need hundreds of hits on a video to make sure that it's successful. But the reality is that if your video, which is timeless content on how a consumer could purchase a home, was viewed by a consumer and that translated into a sale or help for that particular member, that makes a big difference. So take a look at Amy's site, see the type of content that she has. The second thing that I really like about what you have done, Amy, is that, you know, you've talked about check fraud, you've talked about deposit speed, you've talked about so many different categories of information. And for someone who has not done all of that, you've certainly got a testament, you know, where people can go out and look at that. The third thing that I really love is that you have branded it, rather than calling it our video, you call it the Money Minute. How long has that been, and do you use Money Minute in your email campaigns?
Yeah, we absolutely do. It's and actually it's funny because when we first started it back late 2013 is when we started the Money Minute series. We thought we were being so clever, and then you start doing searches, and a lot of people are using Money Minute. So we adjusted a little bit to call it the TFCU Money Minute, so it's a little bit more ours and branded as ours. But yeah, we've been using the format for a little over 1.5 years now, and it has it's worked extremely well. We even have a landing page where people can go to and actually fill out if there's a Money Minute topic that they would like covered. They can go to that landing page and let us know what they want to know about them so we can create the content. And it's not, I don't want to give you the impression that we have this mini studio and we've spent, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. I know most of the people on here are marketers from credit unions, and, you know, I feel your pain. We all have very, very tight marketing budgets. I created this studio for less than $5,000, and that even includes a teleprompter by using an iPad. So, and I'm able to use the teleprompter to actually do things. If we have to do messages from the CEO, emergency messages, I can type up a script real fast. Our CEO might not be the greatest at memorizing, but he doesn't have to worry about that because I can type it up and put it on the teleprompter, and he can look into the camera. And, you know, anybody who's ever used a teleprompter before, they're much better than cue cards where you're looking off to the side and you seem shifty. So I highly recommend if you do go into video that you look into something like that so that you're looking directly into the camera. That's just a side note. But again, you can build an entire studio for not a lot of money, and you don't have to have a full studio to create content. Like I said, we've had closings where the member is so elated, the MLO pulls out his iPhone and records a quick little testimonial that we've used. So, you know, through social media. So don't think that it has to be super high production quality to be valuable. It's really, again, the message that's important. And something else, Sandeep, I wanted to kind of mention, something that you taught me that we're in the process of doing right now, and that is in terms of dividing up our demographics and creating personas around them. It is helping us in creating content and creating messages that are segmented to our the different demographics of our membership. one size does not fit all. So we do need to make sure that we're creating messages that meet the needs of these particular individuals at the time that they need them. So it's been a really interesting exercise that we've been going through, and I think that it's really funny because there's one segment that we actually had to put on Zoloft because we created so much stress in their life. But yeah, don't worry, we're going to get them off Zoloft.
No, but you've again highlighted a few things. You've talked about segmentation, which is important, but you know, there's a little trick, Amy, which is that sometimes if you are one marketer and even if you have 11 hands like Amy has, you cannot do everything. And so a little trick is that go out to your members, ask them for testimonials. I assure you they're going to be of different ages, different ethnicities, different needs. And that's where you build up your segmentation on the other end, saying, my credit union serves all these folks. I think that's really important. The other key thing is that don't forget that YouTube is very powerful as far as search is concerned, and the words that you have used in the videos where you speak, if you use those well, you can tag it and you will be shown, you will show up. Now, you Google Amy McGraw, she pops up. She pops up for many reasons. One of those is because of, Amy, you were weightlifting in Las Vegas the last time I saw you. Why don't you tell us about those things you were trying to juggle in your hand?
Weightlifting? Oh, are you talking the awards?
Yes, I am. They were heavy.
Yeah, they kind of are. You know what? Awards are nice, but results are better. I'm really blessed that I have a small but amazingly talented team of out-of-the-box thinkers. I couldn't get those awards without their tenacity and their creativity. And there's a real genuine love of our members and what we do here. Like I said, we don't sell checking accounts, we sell dreams, and we are helping people every step of the way. When you look at that, what we do that way, it makes it so much more satisfying when, like I said, we do get that testimonial of somebody at a closing table with a mortgage, with the keys in their hand. There's just no better feeling than knowing that you helped them get there. So the awards are great, and that is nice, and I'm very proud of everything we do here. I'm only one person, though. Like I said, I have this amazing team behind me, and the results are really what counts, and the way we affect people's lives. That's the real bottom line.
Okay. Again, you know, Amy has shared some very good and interesting tips with us, and if you think about it, when people heard from David Elgin, David is with the Hawks, we immediately start thinking, wow, there's so much glamour because it's sports. And he has, you know, the opportunity to market superstars to consumers and build those connections. Yes, that's partly true. Then we moved over to Shana, and Shana is selling an end user product. She's selling men's clothing. I have friends who work for Anthropologie and they sell women's clothing. They work for Ann Taylor. It's interesting. But then you move over to what Amy is doing. And at the back end, Amy is a means to an end. Her financial institution is not a destination, but just like she said, it's helping people get to their dreams. And at the end of the day, with passion like that and with a commitment like that, there's a lot that can be done. Amy, as we slide over to the next presentation, are there any tips you would like to leave your peers with as far as getting better digital engagement?
I would say my biggest tip is just remember that at the other end of all those electronics and all that technology is just another person. Find a way to engage with the person, and just remember that all that technology is just an end or a means to an end.
Well, Amy, thank you so much. I know you're going to be on the call as we move on to Hillary Reid. And if you think I'm going to be talking a lot now, it's because Hillary couldn't be with us on today's call. She's actually traveling back from a meeting she was with Amy last week as they were planning out next year's CUNA Marketing Conference. And hopefully, Amy, you and Hillary have come up with a lot of good content for all the credit union executives that are on the phone.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to want to miss this year's.
Yeah, we might even, I'm thinking we might feature people like David and Shana to come and talk, at least if nothing else, by webinars to share their programs in detail, because there's so many notes I've taken on so many sheets of paper out here. There's some good information.
Absolutely.
Something that Hillary told me, which is amazing, is basically she told me once that she says that if somebody looks at my website, they would never know how small we are or how big we are. And essentially what she has done is come up with information that she can help her consumers out with. And very much like Amy, she's trying to build dreams. And some of the things she's trying to do as far as building these dreams are concerned is she's trying to build user journeys on perhaps identity theft education. She's trying to build user journeys on how do you connect and purchase a car? How does the consumer purchase a home along those lines? She's looking at a lot of things along those lines. I said to her that I would share that she had originally committed to doing this. She got tied up in her travel. She wasn't able to do that. But I do know Hillary will be back to share her story because I've just taken a few minutes to share with you what she was going to talk about. I'm going to move from Hillary's presentation to the presentation from the Credit Union of New Jersey, which is Allison Kell. And Allison also couldn't join us on today's call. She was actually taking her child to a rehearsal for a music event, and her child has worked really, really hard to achieve that. But what Allison did was she shared some things with me that I want to share with you as far as what she does to try and drive better engagement with her members. When we spoke first, Allison told me that the 5 things that she looks is, she said, well, Sandeep, here's how I engage effectively. Number 1, look sharp, act confident, and speak clearly. Number 2, engage in a back and forth dialogue. First ask, listen, then tell. Number 3, she said, pay attention to what the person is saying and doing. Number 4, she said, don't get distracted by outside influences. Focus on your center of attention. Number 5, do not forget to say thank you. And then she put up her slide, which said, email is like dating, because those 5 tips that she talked about first are what a relationship company tells their consumers, their members, on how to behave on their first date. Amy, what's interesting out here is that when Allison shared this story with me, she basically said that I am sending out 12 to 18 to 24 email messages a year, depending on what segment I'm talking to. And she wants to make sure that every message that is sent is like that first date. It has the enthusiasm, but you have the relationship information behind it so you can take and have that better conversation with the consumer. What's also interesting is that in the messages that are going out to the consumer, she is playing with personalization, which means, she is addressing Shana by her name, Amy by her name, David by his name. She's talking about something that is relevant to them. But what the Credit Union of New Jersey does is they also have a points program where, based on the amount of activity they have, what these folks are doing is they tell that consumer that you are now at a silver level, or you're at a gold level, you're at a platinum or above. And what they do is they tell the consumer how much they did at that particular level and what else that consumer needs to do in order to reach the higher level. Again, it's a marriage of data, it's a marriage of dynamic personalization, and I will stop her presentation here because what I told Allison is that I'd like for her to come back and share with this audience in detail what she meant as far as having 12 to 24 first dates with the members that she serves. we're going to move the program on, and I want to introduce you to the next speaker. This is Sam Smith. And Sam, why don't you start talking us through the 12 steps to the perfect email campaign?
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Difficult to follow up with all of those great minds. David, Shana, Amy, you did a great job. And hopefully what I'm going to be doing today is pulling all of those tips that we've heard from those wonderful people together in an easy 12 steps to a perfect email campaign. Just a little about myself. You can see a beautiful image of myself right there. I just took on my honeymoon. I'm getting used to my name, Sam Smith. I'm not a famous British singer, but if you ask me, I can break into a song afterwards. Please feel free to type that in the chat box. But I'm from Digital Mailer. We are an electronic communications firm. We help solely financial institutions, mostly credit unions, with their electronic communication goals, and actually have an email platform called ARB Plus that helps them achieve these goals as well. But what I'm going to be talking about today is exactly what we've learned from all of our amazing credit union clients as to how they have perfected their own personal email campaigns through these 12 steps. And we'll go ahead and get started with step number 1, the most important step, building your email list. According to the Financial Brand, on average, credit unions have only about 45% of their customers' email addresses. I actually sent my save the dates out on emails, and let me tell you, my 80-year-old aunt, who is a nun, has an email address. I promise you the majority. I would go as far as to say as 99.9% of your members have email addresses. And if you're creating these campaigns and you don't have the email addresses that go along with each of those members, you're losing out on a huge opportunity to cross-sell. So what I provided for you today are just a few opportunities that you may not have thought about to gather those emails and those email addresses up today. First of all, a great way to do that is to include the opportunity for those folks, those members who are receiving your emails, to forward those emails along and share them with their family, their friends, not only spreading the word about you, but also giving you the opportunity to collect every single one of those email addresses that they're forwarding along to as well. If you have some sort of free online tool or resource, making sure you have the ability to collect email addresses in those capacities. Promotions at your branches. If you have individuals who are coming into your branch and you don't have their email address, if you feel like giving away a free iPad or maybe a grill for Father's Day, having the opportunity for people to quickly fill out their name and their email address so you can start collecting it in that capacity. Not only that, and this is something that I go onto websites of the credit unions and financial institutions pretty regularly, very rarely do I ever see the opportunity for someone to actually learn more. As a human being, a millennial myself, I'm someone who just purchased a home. As Amy mentioned, it's scary, it's exciting, but it's really confusing, and you never see that opportunity just to simply press your email, put it in there, and say, hey, let me learn more about purchasing a home for the first time. Do you have a call to action, not just on your homepage, but on all of those different products that you're offering, so individuals can learn more, especially if it's their first time, on how to do business with you. For step 2, Amy mentioned this as well, having a compelling intro email. I think Shana mentioned that too. The first impression, just like Kelly was going to speak about, that first date. First impressions are everything, especially when it comes to having a digital relationship. Your introduction email sets the tone for every email following that, and it tells that individual if that email is actually worthwhile. Especially if you're, I'm assuming most of you out there are receiving quite a few emails a day, what's going to make them open the email from you once they knock on that door? So here are a few ideas as to how you can get started the right way by having a great first impression. First of all, ensuring that you have consistent branding throughout all of your emails. One of my favorite email chains that I'm on is Bed Bath & Beyond. I always know when I get an email from Bed Bath & Beyond, it looks exactly the same every single time. I'm pretty sure they don't even change a lot of the stuff in the email itself, but it's constant. I know it's from them. And when I have an email from my financial institution, I want to have some sort of recognition so that I know that because of hacking and all those things that make millennials and baby boomers and people alike scared, they want to make sure that they have an understanding of who exactly are sending these emails. Make sure that your emails are created for mobile. As a millennial too, I can't stress enough how annoying it is when you get an email and you can't read it on your phone. 60% of all internet use is through mobile. If you're focusing on Gen Y, that's definitely something that you need to pay attention to. And using your reporting tools through your email platform, you can actually get an idea of your members and who are using their mobile devices to open their emails. So you can focus on a strategy to create and design emails based on mobile first. Content marketing, this is something I loved listening to Amy speak about, recording those minutes, making those selling dreams happening. Why not that first initial email? Start that human connection and humanizing your brand with that. Hey, we're creating dreams. We're doing everything that you would like. We can help you get to the next step. Here are other folks that have done that. It's a great way for people to connect to your brand. One thing I can't stress enough too is don't drown your members with content on your first email. Utilize your hyperlinks. You're investing time in your website. Send people that way. Have those click-through opportunities where you can track them and send people to the next step, which also can help with your transactional triggers, which I'll go and explain more in a few seconds. But last and not least, and it's something I'm sure you all know, make sure your personalization is on point, not only with your first name, but there are easy ways that you can change imagery or even the content to match the individual. Someone like myself, I'm 26, I just got married, I just purchased a house for the first time. I'm not going to relate to an old couple on the bench in a park, but I may relate to that couple who's sitting in the coffee shop. So make sure that you're focusing with those lists or either just with dynamic content on creating an image and content that matches the individual who's receiving the email itself. Step 3, and I just mentioned this a second ago, those transactional triggers. Consider how your emails can automatically take your members on an educational journey. It's such an easy way to take the next step. So it's those transactional triggers, or also known as autoresponders. You can anticipate your members' needs or react to their engagement level. And here's some easy example and simple ways that you can promote the cross-sell or actually inspire re-engagement just based on how your members previously reacted to your emails. First of all, if someone asked about a solution, if I was on your website asking for more information about your home loan, or if you sent me an email about a great promotion and I clicked for more information about the home loans on your website, set up an autoresponder trigger to send 2 days, 3 days later, going into a bigger call to action about that specific product. Same thing, took an action but no follow-up. Maybe I did click on the call, the apply now button for your home loan to see exactly what that might entail, got a little nervous, had to have a conversation with my husband or something along those lines, and I didn't take the next step. Set an autoresponder for a week later to send that alternative action, maybe to learn more or to reach out to someone at your financial institution, some sort of connection so they can take the next step. They might not have been ready at the moment, but they were interested in the topic, so you might have to just throw them a little ball for them to hit to take to the next step. Same thing if they viewed specific content as well, just an automatic email to help follow up. Lastly, and this is just a great thing that I don't think people take advantage of enough, there are certain individuals who really like email. They like reading it. They like clicking through on it. If they're anything like me, they wake up and they go through all of them and read a bunch of them because it's just something that you do in your spare time. Those people who are highly engaged, set them off in a separate list. Give them the opportunity, a special opportunity compared to everyone else, to spread the word about your financial institution. There are multiple ways in which you can do this with a transactional triggered email. You can say, hey, share the word on your social media sites, forward this to a friend, however you would like to engage with that member. You know that individual is interested, so take advantage of that. Step 4, deciding the frequency, and this is something that we discussed as well, because a lot of people struggle with figuring out that sweet spot when it comes to deciding the number of emails to send. I often hear, especially from higher up folks at credit unions, that they're actually turned off to the idea of emails in general just because they receive so many emails. They're definitely more popular than myself. They probably receive hundreds of just plain old work emails on their own. But I promise us normal folks out there who receive less than 100 emails a day actually can enjoy the distraction of the email itself. You can see here, based on the data collected over 12 months just from our clients, over-emailing is not a good thing. It can lower that click-through and open rate, and if you're emailing to this extent, you're probably not targeting those individuals or sending them messages that they're actually interested in. So this is something that Shana tapped into earlier. Instead of focusing on volume, not really concerning about the number of emails, rather the relevance, or like Shana said, the value of the email itself. I actually took screenshots of emails that were sent to me this morning, completely unrelated to financial institutions, but it's something that seems to me, and it's stuff that you can get inspired by. I always like to look at the emails that I receive to try to do inspiration for digital mailers too. Things that are relevant. 4th of July is coming up. I saw this and I was like, yes, I need to get those shorts because I need a 4th of July gear. Father's Day is coming up. My dad golfs. I got this deal from Golf Now about that golf club is literally 5 minutes away from my house. So both of those got my attention because of the relevance of the date. So is the email time sensitive? Do you have a calendar out with all of the great things that are happening in life? Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July. How are you promoting yourself during those specific events? Are there any promotions that you can tie into those things? Those things are relevant. Personalizing for the demographic as well, making sure, like I mentioned before, that someone like myself, a millennial, is not receiving emails on retirement or whatever baby boomers discuss because I'm not interested. And I had a friend once in my gym who said I completely stopped listening to my credit union's emails solely because they just kept emailing me on stuff I'm not interested in. So you can get the message right. You can send the same message out, just like Amy mentioned earlier, but just by changing the subject line to make it relevant to that individual, or just a little bit of the content or the image. Just make it more valuable with each email you send. And then after a while, once you've taken this into practice, track and reevaluate based on how your membership is reacting to all of those emails. You're getting high open rates, maybe you could send a bit more. You see your open rates dwindling, maybe pull back a bit. Just take the cue from your own membership because I know each of your credit unions are different and the membership is different as well. Step 5, finding innovative ways to survey. Surveys, they're those things that, yeah, you kind of get bored of them, but honestly, they're so great and there's so many ways that you can utilize them, not only to get a better idea of how you can better serve your members, but actually about the member themselves. Have you ever taken a second to just ask the member through a survey, who are you? What do you want? What are you looking for in the next 1 to 5 years? Are you getting married? Are you purchasing a home? Are you thinking about a car? Are you going back to school? Collecting that data and utilizing it later to send off personalized campaigns is something that can happen right off the bat as soon as someone becomes a member with you. Taking the opportunity as well, I'm sure you've heard this through the onboarding experience, saying, hey, we want to know what it was like, that first experience with us, working with our team. Through the lending experience, again, like Amy mentioned, it's scary, it's exciting, and you know, as a consumer, I have a lot of opinions on how my personal transaction went and how I thought it could have gone better. And as a millennial, I think we love to share our thoughts on things. Given the opportunity not only for those individuals who completed the experience and are taking the loan with you, but what about those individuals who got away? Are you asking them, yeah, I funded your loan, why did you decide not to go with us, or why didn't you use the loan with our financial institution? And seeing if you can correct those mistakes if there were any, mend those relationships if it needs mending, or speaking with those individuals on your team if they may have dropped the ball in any sense. And go ahead and ask about your own content. There's no shame in taking a little poll with your own customer base and saying, hey, our website, is it easy to use? Is there something you wish was there? Should we be presenting more educational information? Or same with your email marketing. Do you wish you heard more from us? If so, what do you wish you'd hear? And getting a better idea of your membership just strictly by asking them. And making it automatic. Put those surveys in through your onboarding series, through those triggered responses, wherever you can. You can place them on your website just to get a better idea of who your membership is. I'm a huge fan of surveys. I like to Yelp, Google review, all the things that you can. If my financial institution asks for my opinion, I give it. A lot of people are willing to do so, good or bad review. A lot of people just think it's bad stuff. But honestly, if you get a good review, as a consumer who fills out reviews, sometimes you get free stuff out of it. So I always make sure that I fill out surveys at any opportunity I can. Step 6, do more than just an email campaign. You might be buzzing around thinking, you know, it's digital, we're thinking about digital. We're getting caught up in it. What can I do? Subject line, content, imagery. But you can do so much more than that with your email, and that's something I loved listening to Amy speak about, her minutes, her video minutes where she recorded people and was able to share that via email to Humanize. That's something that you can do as well. How can you make it appear not only through your email, but on your website, in your branches, to create one uniformed front? And one example that I love, and I'm sure a lot of you heard about this, was the TD Bank giving back with those automated teller machines where they gave little gifts when people came up to the teller, or excuse me, to the ATM, and they recorded it and they put it on YouTube, and they obviously got a lot of hits. But they hit the social media aspect from every single angle, through email, through YouTube, through social media, obviously in their branches. So how can you make a uniform marketing message across all planes, even with your frontline staff? How are they promoting those different promotions that you have in place, and having a better line of communication that way? Step 7, testing each campaign. This is something I hear a lot of folks say, oh, I know we should, I wish we would do a little bit more of testing campaigns to get a better idea of how their members react, not only to their subject lines, but their content. When in doubt, test it out. That's what I like to say. And I wanted to give you a little example of split testing here. This is actually Financial Institutions at Digital Mailer. They sent out 2 emails. The same message, you can tell. One was a little bit longer. They both had different subject lines. And you can see the results here. Email A, which had the subject line, need a little extra cash for the holidays, compared to email B with the subject line, need a little extra cash. And you can see how that changed the open rate from about 37% to 18%. That's something that you could test out, because open rates obviously lead to what's best, and that's the click-through rate. And you can see that email A overall had a higher open and click-through rate. And there are a few reasons why this might be so. First of all, the subject line matters. Need a little extra cash compared to need a little extra cash for the holidays. Although it's only maybe a 3-word difference, for the holidays rings true to whatever everyone feels a little stressed about once the holidays come up. That's a big stress. Need a little extra cash. You need a little extra cash all the time. Holidays is a little bit more specific. Like I mentioned before, less is more. This is literally as less as it gets. It's just the image and the ability to click now to apply. It took them to their landing page on their website where they described what skip a payment was and gave them the opportunity to apply from there. Whereas on this website, or excuse me, on this email, they tried to explain everything in one fellow swoop. But you have to understand, when people are viewing these emails, they only see about up to here when they're opening it for the first time and deciding, oh, should I delete it or should I keep reading? So you need to make sure that your message is above the fold and your call to action is clear. And then what happens if your image doesn't appear? I'm sure that some of you work with Outlook, and when you get those emails, the image doesn't even come up. That happens even with my Gmail account too sometimes, where I have to download the images to see exactly what's going on. So are you taking that into consideration as well when you're creating these? But it's a great thing to test. You can test on a certain portion of your population first, 10%, decide what the winner is, and then take it from there. But it's a good thing to do for quite a few of your campaigns. And then after the fact, ensuring that you're actually keeping track of that data. Because the data doesn't change just because you take a different email. Getting an understanding of who your membership is and tracking it for future campaigns. Step 8, consider your subject line. And this is especially here, I gave examples from my specific phone. The one on the left was this morning. I took a quick picture of it. On the one on the right, that top subject line is one of those email subject lines that I just completely love. But the thing is I'm guilty of this too. The email that I'm actually sending to all of you after this with the 12 steps that you're seeing, don't worry, we're sending you a white paper after this, but I created the subject line after the fact. That whole, oh yeah, the subject line mentality is something that you might want to shake, because it's the most important part of the email if you think about it. It's what drives people to actually open up, go in, see what you worked for hours on. So it's something that you might want to take into consideration. And here are a few suggestions as to how you might be able to get some higher open rates. Be specific if you're targeting a specific segment. I promise I didn't sync up with Shayna on this when she mentioned, oh, hey, we like to say VIP groups, this is just for you, or people who are unengaged, we miss you people. That's something that gets open rates, that honesty factor. Localize and target. If you say Charlotte and I live in Charlotte, I have a high, especially if you're someone who does not usually mention Charlotte. If Tough Mudder mentioned Charlotte, I would open that in a snap because I'm super interested in getting in there in Charlotte. So making sure you're relating to the recipient by their interests, maybe their gender, or their geographical location. Show some urgency. People fear missing out. And that's why I love to mention this specific email from the Tough Mudder. You don't want, you want to open this email. That's all they had to say. They give away some stuff sometimes. You get free Chipotle, or they'll sometimes give a free ticket to run in their events. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yes, opening this. And you know what, it really wasn't that interesting of an email, but it was a subject line that I couldn't believe I got sucked into it so much. Test it out, again, like I mentioned with the split testing, and also realize it's not just about the subject line. One thing I hope that all of you notice, either from your own emails or just from seeing these examples, it's not just those 30 characters that you put into the subject line anymore, especially since the majority of people are reading their emails off of mobile. It's that next sentence, too. So if you can't fit it all in on that top, that subject line, put a little thought into exactly what you're making that next sentence because it's the first thing that pops up. Some people miss the mark, like you see BabbleBar here, can't see the images below. It's kind of a waste of a sentence. There's really great things that you can place in there, just like Golf Now did that says, hey, these great deals are too good to miss. One of them mentioned Father's Day. I actually clicked through and booked a tea time just from that email. Step 9. Unsubscribe options. This is something that I feel like not just financial institutions, but businesses in general, they don't take advantage of enough, where they give the end user, the member, the consumer, or the prospect, the opportunity to decide what they want to receive. Maybe I don't want to unsubscribe from everything, because especially if it's my financial institution, if it's one of my financial institutions is doing a poor job of just blasting me all the time and not really putting thought into why they're emailing me, yeah, I'll probably want to unsubscribe from their promotions. But that doesn't mean I want to unsubscribe from any major event that might happen afterwards. So set up a landing page similar to your website that has that recognition that gives the member the opportunity to decide, okay, these are the emails that I do want to receive. Maybe I don't want to receive on promotions on this, but if you give them the option to sign up for other things, maybe they will. I might not be interested in your auto loans, but I know I sure am interested in purchasing a house or any events about the first time purchasing a house. Or maybe they'd rather learn about you through social media. Put your social media there. Say, hey, you don't want to receive an email? That's fine. We have a Facebook page where we put all these promotions anyways if that's how you prefer to receive your information. But make sure that you ask, too, hey, what is it? Why are you unsubscribing from us? This is a great time. You don't necessarily need to throw in a survey. You can. But say, hey, you're taking the time to unsubscribe. Is there a reason? Where are we missing the mark? These folks did a great job of doing that, too. I'm trying to avoid the complete break and still having somewhat of a digital communication relationship, but allowing you still to decide exactly how you want to communicate from member to credit union. Step 10, monitoring your results. So each credit union is different. Their members are different. I've mentioned that before. Once you commit to email marketing, though, I hope you commit to looking at all of your results in detail, not just when your members like to open, but when do your millennials open their emails? On what device do they open it? What are your emails created? Was it created with this data in mind? So this is another example, 12 months of raw data from digital mailer clients, exactly as to which day was best, the time of day for open rates and click-through rates. It's always fun just to kind of get an idea as to all broadly. We have clients, credit union clients all over the country, and how their members react to their email marketing. And we saw the highest open rate just for fun on Mondays at extremely early in the morning, 4 a.m. Of course, they're like me. They sit in bed looking for any reason not to get up, reading their emails. You saw a spike also at 11 a.m. As well. but this is the type of information you should be tracking about your own members as well, so that you can later focus on, once you break it down into segments, maybe my millennials like to read their emails at this time, so I'm going to be sending my emails at this time to make sure I get a higher open rate, and breaking it down in that fashion. Again, making sure that you understand the device or platform that your members are using to read the emails, so you can have that in mind when you're designing the emails. If it's not mobile optimized, it's really not worth it. Step 11, play the role of the consumer. And I think a bunch of our speakers today have mentioned this too. I think we get so wrapped up in thinking about, oh, I'm a financial institution, how do I create an email, what do people expect different things from me, but we really don't. Your consumer, once you play and you jump into that role of I'm a person who receives emails, my financial institution is no exception to what type of emails I as a consumer prefer to open. And again, it's like Amy mentioned, it's that personalization, that humanization factor. And you can make these things automated. I provided another few examples again. These two are just from this yesterday. It's about surveys about, hey, I booked a year ago for my honeymoon. Do you remember that? It's your booking anniversary. I was like, what? I booked that a year ago? That's crazy. But it brought the brand back up just because it played simply to me and exactly who I am. Another thing I know my financial institution for a fact does not take advantage of is my birthday. Or how about the day that I became a member with you? You can promote to me in different ways just by using the fact that it's my birthday, because I receive maybe one birthday email a year, and that's from Edible Arrangements, which is semi-depressing because I'm not going to be sending an edible arrangement to myself. So take advantage of those days, and once they're in the system, you probably can just set it up automatically within your email platform to send out on those birthdays to say, hey, we're more than just your financial institution. Like the folks mentioned before, we want to be your friend, we want to be your family. Happy birthday. As simple as that. So take a look at what you open in your inbox. What are you interested in learning? What stresses do you have in your life right now? I trust me, everyone else is dealing with them. Like Amy mentioned, it's just another person on the end of the other side of the computer. So how can you connect your financial institution to those life events, and how can your emails reflect that? And how can it reflect your branding to meet those roles? Step 12, the last step. So if you're tired of hearing my voice, don't worry. We're coming to a conclusion soon. Getting feedback from real customers. Why not put a focus group together with varying ages, varying incomes, representing different localities to say, hey, what are you interested in? What are you looking for in a financial institution? What are you looking for when you walk in the door, when you walk out of the door, in an email, in our website, all of that good stuff. And be prepared too. Why not try? Throw a few new campaign ideas their way and see how they react to it. You might be able to tweak it a little bit. You might get a little more customer loyalty out of a few of them, but it gives you the ability to try out some strange stuff and try to be different. Because one thing I see in a lot of financial institutions' emails is they are very similar. There's nothing different. There's nothing exciting about it. So trying something new and trying on a real consumer group and seeing how they react before you unleash it into the wild to see how everyone else reacts. Again, you're going to get a follow-up email very soon from us with a white paper that you can access that has a high-level overview of all of those 12 steps. Tomorrow we're going to send a recording of this presentation as well, so you can always tap back or share with any of your friends. Thank you all so much for listening to my little spiel. I really am glad to be included. And Sandeep, I will pass it back to you.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is, in the interest of time, is I'm really going to rush through a couple of slides. I author a blog. It's a book on online marketing. It's at emailyogi.com. And basically, there were 3 real quick things I wanted you to know about. So slide 1, you will see, the next slide, is what I have done is I have put together information on improving deliverability. I have collected all of that for you. The next slide that I have, it basically deals with what do you do in terms of advanced email marketing. It's all about a better opt-in process to creating automated streams. And the next slide I put together here is essentially around an opportunity I have with Marketing Sherpa or MEC Labs. They do a lot of testing where they are trying to figure out why consumers do what they do. And if your financial institution would like to partner with them on seeing what's involved, if you Google NEC Labs or Marketing Sherpa, you will see some of the impactful studies they've done. You folks can let me know. I will close with the last slide here, the next one, which basically, I told you in the beginning, some of the things I did was I went out, I signed up for email where I could. Wherever I could, I looked at your IP address. And if you can, I can do this for you. Send me your website and sign-up page. Put your IP address down, the sending IP if you know what it is. Send me 3 campaigns, a newsletter, a marketing campaign, and perhaps an alert. And if you know what your average engagement rates are, what I will do is I will turn this back into questions and analysis for you. And my contact information is on this presentation as it goes out to you. Courtney, let's move over to the last slide and just open it up for those folks who have questions.
Thank you, Sandeep. We did actually have 2 questions chatted in during the presentation. One of them was that many CUs have members who share email IDs, like, for example, a husband and a wife. How do you recommend personalizing these emails to those kinds of members?
So an interesting approach is there's a couple of credit unions that do that. SRP Federal Credit Union runs into that. The folks over at Credit Union of New Jersey also run into that. Essentially, what they do is they send one to the household, but depending if the account is different, it is personalized differently, which means it goes back to how it's segmented. Perhaps the masters of this segmentation is actually a retail company called Dillard's. My family is made up of 4 people. We have all signed up with one email ID, but it's interesting to see that one email ID gets 6 distinctly different offers, 1 each for the 4 of us who are connected there, 1 for our household, and the 6th one is something that they send on a seasonal basis. And perhaps, again, in the interest of time, what we could do is I'll put that information together in the return package back to people so they have access to that information.
Awesome, thank you. One last question we had chatted in. Can you provide an example of an email system that has the abilities that we've talked about today?
So I think what Stan talked about, Stan showed what is being used in the financial services space, which is digital mailer. That is certainly a very good platform that is being used by the Credit Union of New Jersey as an example. I think it's a very effective platform. I think a big differentiator is their ability to send out targeted messages to consumers, which are part of a series, which is, it starts off by saying, hello, Stan, and then it continues with the follow-up, and it can lead to overall closure. So digital mailer is indeed an extremely effective platform that works well in this space.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandeep. We have one more question chatted in. What are your thoughts on sending emails from the credit union versus a person at the credit union?
Okay, so this usually comes out, and I will tell you that generally speaking, if you can get the message to come from the credit union, it is better as far as branding is concerned. But if your email platform has the ability to personalize the signature field within, it makes it very effective. Because Sandeep could be working for your credit union and then Sandeep moves on to go somewhere else, and you want to build up on that affinity. The other best practice that I recommend is give your consumer the ability to reply back to an email ID so that their information is taken care of.
Perfect. Thank you. I think we're going to wrap it up there in the interest of time. If you have any additional questions, you can contact myself, Courtney Boyce, at courtney.boyce@alliedsolutions.net, or Sam Smith at Digital Mailer. And as Sam said, there will be a white paper headed your way this afternoon, and the recording will be headed your way tomorrow. We thank all of you for joining us. Sandeep, Sam, anything else to close with?
So, thank you again, and look forward to hearing from you folks. Please do let us know what you thought about the content and what I could do to improve it the next time around. Thank you again.